present the Impact Award for Excellence in Housing, joining us by video, the President of the Housing Development Corporation, Mark Yar.
I've been accorded the honor of presenting CHPC's 2012 Impact Award for Excellence in Housing to Bill Traylor. Unfortunately, because I've had to attend a conference outside the city, I couldn't be here in person today. Thankfully, I was still asked to do this by video. It is a great, great privilege to be introducing Bill, particularly at CHPC's Luncheon, celebrating its 75th year of existence, its Diamond Jubilee, with the mayor speaking and with good friends like Nick Lembo and my wonderful Chief Operating Officer, Rich Froelich, also being honored. In our business, we tend to celebrate the deal. Donald Trump wrote a book, The Art of the Deal, and there are many of you in the audience, including myself, who willingly, shamelessly describe themselves as deal junkies. But there is another art, subtler, less heralded, but arguably far more important, the art of the program. And Bill is our Michelangelo, our Leonardo da Vinci, our Picasso of the program. If spreadsheets could sing, Bill's would be a glorious symphony, with every number, every cell alive on the page, grounded in reality, reflecting a larger aspiration than merely the deal. Bill is like a great chef, capable of taking the mundane ingredients of the world of real estate finance and affordable housing and mixing them up into these rich, satisfying meals, some capital, a soup can of home dollars, blend in some Section 8 vouchers, add a big dollop of equity, and we have an offering that the city and the development community and financial institutions can feast upon. Over the past 2 decades or longer, Bill has quietly designed and implemented. He hasn't left that messy work to others, many of the programs that have reshaped the physical and social landscape of this great city's neighborhoods and benefited tens of thousands of New Yorkers with distinctly different needs. New York City has the most robust supportive housing industry in the nation, and for 20 years it has rested upon the financing and programmatic structure Bill helped to create when he was at HPD with Geraldine in the late 80s and early 90s. When I began working with Bill at LISC and the New York Equity Fund, we were embarking on a new phase of the city's housing effort. Many of the vacant buildings that scarred our neighborhoods had been rehabilitated. Now, HPD's sites were aimed at the partially occupied housing stock, and Bill retired to his studio and crafted the Neighborhood Redevelopment Program and Neighborhood Entrepreneurs Program. One day, I remember coming back to LISC from a meeting in Geraldine's office that included John Moran and Anne-Marie Hendrickson. We had been puzzling over what to do with what I think Felice Machete called the irreducible minimum, the small, many times partially occupied 1 to 4 family city-owned homes out in the neighborhoods. I shared some ideas with Bill and asked him to think about what a program could look like, and like a fine artist possessing an exquisite sense of line, he quickly designed the Neighborhood Homes program. When under Mayor Giuliani, the decision was made to restructure the city's in-rem statutes, Geraldine asked Bill to help design a program that could work within the constraints and idiosyncrasies of the new law. And Bill put together the business plan and financial model for Neighborhood Restore. When Mayor Bloomberg was elected and Bill moved back to HPD and then was drafted to serve as acting president of HDC, he and Geraldine put together the first iteration in a new housing marketplace plan, leveraging HDC's access to the capital markets and balance sheet in a remarkable, unprecedented manner, laying the basis for what amounts to over $19 billion in investment in the city's housing and communities. And since returning to the private sector with the Richmond Group, in 1,000 ways, Bill has quietly, modestly upshaped housing policies and programs and deals that have allowed us all to reconstruct the city's neighborhoods and contribute mightily to the rebirth of the city itself. There is, however, more to Bill's artistry than the programs he's helped shape and the deals he's helped put together and close. Underlying it all, at its core, are Bill's values. You know, as a young man, Bill entered the seminary. He didn't complete that path, but he brought to the world of affordable housing and community development first the Catholic Charities' Progress of People, and then in ever-widening worldly circles, the finest values of that path, of intellectual rigor and honesty, of social equity and justice, of compassion, of mercy, and of grace. These are values that aren't immediately apparent when you look at the numbers sprawling across a spreadsheet's cash flow, or in a program's organizational chart, or regulatory agreement. But it has been Bill's truly unique ability to infuse those values into all of his work and his relationships with all of us that makes him such an incredibly worthy recipient of this award. Congratulations, Bill.
Well, thank you virtual Mark Yar. I've known Bill for quite a while. When I first became Assistant Commissioner for Homeless Housing Development, it was the first big job that I had at HPD where I really was in charge of a scary capital budget and also Mayor we had these court cases, right? So the mayor was always being threatened that they were going to be put in jail if we didn't move people out of hotels. And our job was to produce the housing for the homeless families to get them out of the terrible hotels. So one of our big projects at that time was the Times Square Hotel, which I walked in and the deal was well underway when I first took over the job. Bill, I think, was the deputy director for the supportive housing program then. And we had a huge problem because it was a gigantic rehabilitation project with a lot of money on the line, and we had expected that the project would be eligible for J51. But because of part of the craziness of J51, and because the Times Square Hotel was an SRO building, it was not eligible for J51, and we had no tax exemption program suitable for it. So this was a big crisis that my predecessor was supposedly fixing before I got there by going to Albany and changing the J51 legislation. The new bill actually was called the Times Square Hotel bill because it was supposed to be fixing the Times Square Hotel problem. So when I came in, all that work had been done, and I just sort of checked off the box that that was not an issue. And Tim O'Hanlon, who I'm sure is out there somewhere, yeah, there's Tim. Tim and Bill come into my office and say, "Can we speak to you?" I say, "Sure." And so Tim kind of looks at his shoes, and which is never like a good sign if you know Tim. And then Bill says, "Well, what would you say if we told you that the Times Square Hotel bill didn't actually solve the Times Square Hotel's problem?" So I said, "Well, I would say that's a big freaking problem because we've just made the governor sign the bill and everyone thought that that was going to fix the problem. And what are you talking about? It doesn't solve the problem." So we basically didn't have any options. And so Bill said, "Well, maybe we should just create a new tax exemption program." And I thought, "Oh, great, fine, yeah, okay, let's just do that." We were like 60 people in a back room someplace at 75 Maiden Lane. And in fact, Bill did just that. And the 420C program was born, and it was really a tax exemption designed specifically for not-for-profits who were doing low-income housing tax credit deals and couldn't fit into these other tax exemption programs. And it's the kind of work that, as a manager, to have somebody that you could turn to who can fix that kind of problem that normally would have, cost me my job, frankly, because, of course, the other guy had already left and, so nobody could do anything to him. It's just so valuable to be able to work with somebody like that. His creativity, his ability to come up with ideas that no one else thought of is really just amazing. And of course, his personal integrity, his kindness. We're actually neighbors. We live in the same building. And when I was sick, he would deliver to our door these trays of delicious food, including a chocolate noodle pudding with that would be warm with, freshly whipped cream. And then when I got better, my daughter said, "Does this mean Bill's not going to be bringing that noodle pudding by anymore?" So I said, "Well, sadly, probably yes, that's true. But I'm sure we could still get the noodle pudding if we really ask for it." So it is a really great honor for me and for Mark Yar to present CHPC's 2012 Impact Award in Excellence in Housing to William Traylor.
I have my remarks on my BlackBerry, so I have to find them because I wrote them on the train. Everyone should have the privilege at one time in their life, preferably while you're still alive in your life, to have Mark Yar say a few words about you, right? And it's truly humbling. Congratulations to CHPC on its 75th birthday. CHPC is a great civic organization that's asked the right questions and that's had the right answers when the cities needed them most. After the Great Depression, in the mid-1970s when we were on our knees, and now as we grow and strain at the same time, Geraldine has led CHPC to new heights of thoughtfulness and vigor, and deserves a huge round of applause for doing that. I'm privileged and humbled to take the stage with an esteemed cohort. Congratulations to Nick, Rich, John, Todd, and Darren. I would also like to thank those folks who have had the privilege, that I've had the privilege to work with and to learn from over the last 30 years. To keep it short, I'm only going to call out those who I've had the privilege to work with for a really long time. And some of you are probably very glad not to be on the list. Geraldine Perrine, of course, Joanne Flanagan, a good friend, Mark Yar, Alan Epstein, Gary Haddam, Nancy Bieberman, Ismini Spiliotis, and Priscilla Almodovar. Each of you has shown me a critical component of what it means to be a great houser, and I continue to learn from each of you. Thank you. It is, they deserve a round of applause. It's been an extreme, I'm having location problems there. It's been an extreme privilege to work with all, because I talk with my hands, so it's like not good to have pointy glass objects around me. It's been an extreme privilege to work with all of you in this room to make this city a great place once again. It's personally gratifying for me to walk down Vise Avenue in Crotona Park East, 145th Street in Bradhurst, and Livonia Avenue in East New York, and to see them as thriving neighborhoods and communities once again. Thank you all.